The global arms race has been a contentious issue for decades, with countries around the world investing billions of dollars in their military forces. While some argue that military spending is necessary for national security and defense, others argue that it perpetuates violence and conflict. Regardless of the viewpoint, one thing is certain: the amount of money spent on weapons is staggering. In this video, we'll be exploring just how much countries like the United States, China, and Russia are spending on their military weapons, and what those investments mean for the ever-shifting balance of global power. Get ready to be amazed by the sheer magnitude of these numbers and what they say about the priorities and strategies of the world's leading nations. Let's get into it. At number 7, we have South Korea. The South Korean government is gearing up to bolster its national defense capabilities with a hefty budget of 107.4 trillion KRW, equivalent to a whopping $86.1 billion. This substantial sum accounts for a staggering 36% of the overall defense spending planned for 2027. The plan is to prioritize acquiring the cutting-edge Korean Triad system, which includes the kill chain technology. This system would allow for preemptive strikes in case of any hostile actions from North Korea. As part of this effort, the Ministry of National Defense is set to purchase 20 F-35A stealth planes and Korea tactical surface-to-surface missiles, which will significantly enhance the country's defense capabilities. In response to North Korea's persistent nuclear and weapons of mass destruction threats, South Korea is stepping up its game even further by establishing the Strategic Command in 2024. This move is aimed at boosting the country's strike capabilities by procuring mid-sized submarines of 3,600 tons, equipped with SLBMs and designated as KSSII Batch 2, as well as advanced UAVs. 8,000 tons of Aegis destroyers and ballistic missile early warning radars will be used to strengthen another axis of the Korean Triad system, the Korea Air and Missile Defense, which detects and intercepts hostile missiles, eventually establishing the Maritime Task Fleet Command with the increased number of ships. South Korea has 2,381 tanks, 1,412 total aircraft, and 13 submarines. Next up is France. The French government has announced plans to double its military expenditure, with a staggering increase from 295 billion euros to 413 billion euros over the period of 2019 to 2025. President Emmanuel Macron has stated that France will have armies ready for the perils of the century, and the funds will be used to modernize the country's nuclear arsenal and close gaps in military intelligence and drone capabilities. But France's ambitions don't stop there. With an arsenal that boasts 423 tanks, 1,264 aircraft, and 10 submarines, the French military is a force to be reckoned with. Some of their deadliest weapons include the Leclerc main battle tank, FAMAS Felon assault rifle, Aster 15/30th surface-to-air missile, Dassault Rafale fighter jet, and the Exocet anti-ship missile. Next on this list is India. As one of the largest nations in the world, India faces a myriad of security challenges, both domestic and abroad. The country has proposed an ambitious defense spending plan, allocating a whopping 5.94 trillion rupees, $72.6 billion for the fiscal year 2023 to 24, which represents a 13% increase from the previous decade's estimates. The move aims to strengthen India's military capabilities and enhance its readiness to face potential threats, particularly along its contentious border with China. The proposed budget includes 1.63 trillion rupees specifically for defense capital expenditures, which will go towards acquiring new weapons, aircraft, warships, and other military hardware. Meanwhile, the bulk of the budget, totaling 2.77 trillion rupees, will be dedicated to military salaries and perks, with an additional 1.38 trillion rupees allocated for pensions for retiring soldiers. But the Indian government's commitment to national security doesn't stop there. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also increased the defense budget for the current fiscal year, which ended in March, from 5.25 trillion rupees to 5.85 trillion rupees, underscoring India's determination to prioritize its defense needs. The next country on this list is Romania. Russia has reportedly raised a whopping $13 billion in a single day to boost its defense spending for 2023, according to a British intelligence briefing. The ministry revealed that the record-breaking debt issuance is seen as a crucial mechanism to sustain Russia's defense spending, which has skyrocketed since its invasion of Ukraine. In fact, Russia has set a massive defense budget of around $84 billion for 2023, a whopping 40% increase from its initial estimate for the year 2023. Despite the Russian government keeping details of its defense budget under wraps since May 2022, recent figures show that defense spending already totaled approximately $26.4 billion from January to April 2023. With this explosive growth, the country's defense expenditure could easily surpass $90.9 billion by the end of 2024. Russia's military arsenal boasts some of the most dangerous weapons in the world, including the Onyx anti-ship cruise missile, Su-30 fighter jets, S-400 air defense system, two 160 Blackjack bombers, and two 22 M3 backfire long-range bombers. With such lethal firepower, Russia's military continues to be a significant threat to global security. Number 3. Japan. Japan, a country known for its commitment to pacifism, is ramping up its defense spending in response to the changing geopolitical landscape in the Asia-Pacific region. The Japanese government has approved a massive defense budget of 114 trillion yen, $836 billion for the coming fiscal year, with the aim of strengthening its military capabilities and enhancing its readiness to face potential threats from China, North Korea, and Russia. The budget includes a significant amount of spending on military equipment, including a purchase of 400 Tomahawk missiles from the U.S. The move is part of a larger 5-year, 43 trillion yen, $315 billion military expenditure plan announced in December as part of Japan's new national security strategy. The plan includes creating a counter-strike capability to anticipate enemy strikes, a contentious development given Japan's promise to preserve solely defensive capabilities following its loss in World War II. The passage of the budget by the lower house of parliament, the more powerful of the two chambers, ensures that it will be adopted by the end of March, regardless of the upper house's decision. The move underscores Japan's commitment to its defense needs and its determination to protect its citizens and sovereignty. As Japan strengthens its military capabilities, it's worth noting that the country already possesses some of the world's most deadly weapons, including the Type 10 MBT, Kawasaki P-1, Mitsubishi F-2, Atago-class destroyer, and Soryu-class submarine. With the additional spending, Japan is poised to become an even more formidable force in the Asia-Pacific region, signaling a new era for the country and its role in global security. Next up is China. As tensions continue to rise in the Indo-Pacific region, China has once again increased its defense budget, signaling its commitment to building up its military might. The 7.2% rise in the budget for the coming year is slightly higher than last year's 7.1% increase and marks the 7th consecutive year of single-digit percentage point growth for the world's second-largest military budget. With a whopping 1.55 trillion yuan, $224 billion, allocated for 2023, the Chinese military now boasts the largest fleet in the world, as well as the world's largest standing army, and has even launched its third aircraft carrier. Meanwhile, the United States maintains that it has the greatest aviation force in the region, with more than half of its fighter jets being 4th or 5th generation types. But it's not just the size of China's military that's impressive. The country also possesses a vast arsenal of deadly weapons, including electromagnetic railguns, mother of all bombs, carrier killer missiles, stealth drones, and upgraded stealth fighters. These weapons give China an edge in modern warfare and have the potential to tip the balance of power in the region. Finally, the most powerful country when it comes to military weapons is the United States. The United States has always been a heavyweight in military spending, and the latest fiscal year is no exception. Despite a pandemic and a fluctuating economy, the U.S. spent a whopping $754 billion on national defense in 2021, accounting for 11% of federal spending. In fact, the U.S. spends more on defense than any other member of the G7, solidifying its position as the world's top military superpower. But where does all this money go? The Department of Defense is the primary recipient of the budget, receiving a staggering $718 billion in FY 2021. This amount is allocated towards military activities, which includes everything from personnel salaries and benefits to research and development of advanced technologies. The remaining $36 billion was spent on defense-related operations by other agencies such as the Department of Energy and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And when it comes to deadly weapons, the U.S. military has an impressive arsenal at its disposal. The Boeing AH-64 Apache helicopter is a force to be reckoned with, capable of unleashing a storm of missile and rocket fire on enemy targets. The M1A2 SEP tank and M109 A6 Paladin self-propelled howitzer are both heavily armored and pack a devastating punch on the battlefield. For anti-tank warfare, the TO anti-tank guided missile is a top performer, while the M2 heavy machine gun is a classic weapon that still holds its own in modern warfare. It's clear that the U.S. is not afraid to invest heavily in its military might, but whether or not this allocation of resources is truly necessary is a contentious issue that continues to spark debate. What do you think about the amount spent on these weapons? Let us know in the comments section. Remember to like and share this video, and also subscribe to this channel to get notified so you won't miss out on our new content.